Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third-party review. In today's video I'm taking a look at the latest offering from those guys at DX9. It is their interpretation of Masterpiece Sixshot, aka Hanzo. And he is glorious. Not without his faults. Straight off the bat, his bot mode looks fantastic. It is pretty nigh on animation accurate, especially to the Japanese Headmaster series where he, spoiler alert, kills Ultra Magnus. It's pretty much identical. He looks fantastic. Now, his ult modes? Yeah, not so much. If you have an imagination, the ult modes can work, but he's staying in bot mode. In close and personal with him, it's a fantastic head sculpt. I absolutely love the sculpt on this. He's just a big, huge, solid lump of plastic. Now, weapon-wise, Hanzo comes with 2 swords, 2 guns, and 2 of these. These are things that are normally attached by chains and swung around. I really don't know. So it's pretty much your bog standard selection of weaponry that you'd come to expect with any Sixshot figure. And as glorious as the swords look, all in chrome, there's nothing special about them. There's no writing on them. And unlike Hexatron, these aren't kept in sheath. These are actually mounted on the hip as they are. You can't draw the sword from its case. But I mean, don't get me wrong, they look the mutts nuts just sitting there attached to him. They look really good. Hanzo has some big, huge, chunky hands as well. Some of the best that I've seen from DX9. That was awesome as those big old hands look holding that gun. They do have a tendency to pop off the peg. There's a very small peg on the inside of the hand, which fits into the tab on either side. And it just makes it a little bit more difficult to wrap the fingers or the thumb around, because as you wrap them round, they tend to just knock that off the peg, and it ends up being loose in the hand. And the swords, well, they don't even have a tab. They're just held in with willpower alone. But is that something we can overlook? I mean, it's Masterpiece Sixshot. Here he is alongside Galvatron for a scale comparison. See, I think that's a good height. That's something I can definitely work with. And again, for the Headmasters fans out there, very good scaling. The Decepticon army needs you! Considering Hanzo is a 6-changer, the levels of detailing are fantastic. I think DX9 have done a very good job of hiding away all of those extra modes. Now, not many people look at the back of a bot, but it's very clean and tidy. The legs have been filled out with the parts. The back section here is completely solid. There are gaps under the arms, like what we got with their Megatron. This allows us to move this joint up and down, but you can move this joint all the way to the bottom, and these shoulder sections moved up and lowering off the shoulders. If that's your choice in how you'd like it displayed, you do lose the ability to move the arms up and down somewhat, but you do completely cover off that hole under the armpit. Let's cover the articulation. The head can look up and down. Not a great range there. Look up and down, but it's enough. We go left and we go right. We can tilt to the side for a quizzical pose. The shoulders are on a ratchet, which goes up and over. That's glorious. They can come out to the side. As previously discussed, this section here can drop down and we can have that shoulder lower. We do have an upper bicep rotation. We have a double jointed elbow. It's not an ugly elbow either. I think it looks nice. I think it's something that nowadays all figures should have. The fingers, we have individually articulated thumb with a pin and a separate joint. And then we have 1 to 3 points of articulation on each individual finger, and there's the peg that I said about for the weapons, and the hands themselves can rotate, but there's no tilt up or down. The waist can rotate on a friction joint. Legs have skirt at the front and sides, which allows the joints to come forwards, backwards on a soft ratchet. We can come out to the side on a nice hard ratchet there. We do get rotation in the upper thigh, and we do get a 90-degree bend at the knee on a very nice metallic ratchet. Now I would have liked greater angle on the knee bend, but due to the transformation sections here, that is restricted. Coming down to the feet, they can come left and right, and we can go up and down on that ratchet. We can also raise this joint upwards and downwards so we can get some really dynamic poses. And as you can see, there's a lot of heft in that lower leg, which allows him to be an extremely well-balanced figure. Now let's get Hanzo transformed up. Let's start with his wolf mode. As a nice little Easter egg, if you remove the tires from the arms of Hanzo, you actually get some nice little ninja throwing stars actually embedded into the center of the tire, which I think is really nice. That's a good idea. Now you do need those on there to complete the wheels, but I think that's a nice little touch. Anyway, for now we'll keep that off. You want to open up this tab here, and this whole section here is actually going to rotate round. This section here flips up, like so, and the fist is going to rotate inwards, and when we get it inwards into this gap, you want to push down the fingers and make sure they're bent over at just the tips, and the thumb is bent down. That now allows us to close this section back off. We can then rotate this back over and close that section off, and then we can bring the wolf paw down, and it's on a double hinge, which allows us to bring that out to the front. Close off this chest piece, rotate the shoulder section around, come to this back section, I'm going to bring that up and over so it's facing backwards, and as we did when I adjusted the shoulder earlier on, and push down and collapse this joint. Now it's a very tight joint indeed, and once you've done that, you can just bring these sections to the front. Bring these arms back just so we can move these shoulder sections up and out of the way for now. You're going to bring them back any second now. We just need to lift this back section up. You want to bring the wolf head up. You want to open up this tab section here on the wolf head. You can then push down on his head and then collapse it at the neck so it tucks in there nicely and closes that back off. Bring the wolf head up, open up the mouth, bring up the nose, close off the mouth, and then bring this section back over, closing it off, and then straighten up those shoulder pegs and bring back the shoulders. Rotate Hanzo's waist 180 degrees. Rotate the actual knee joint. So this section here is facing outwards. Flip up his bum skirt. Pull down and extend this foot section. Pull this section just here out of the way. You want to flip this knee section up. And basically this whole intersection here is going to unfold. It just basically pushes in through the bottom and comes up the other side and up and over. You then want to bring this section up like so, collapse the leg joint inwards, and that's just going to slide like so, and then close off quite nicely, joining with a tab and a lip joint at the base here, and pushing those together firmly. Rotate the truck visor section up, come around to this back section, you want to bring it downwards, upwards, and then fold this section and back like so, and like so. Come around to this leg section, and it's on this slider. You want to bring the leg upwards, rotate it all the way around, secure that into place, and then move the wolf legs backwards, rotate this joint down, and then bend off the feet. And there we have him in his wolf mode. This is probably one of the more convincing of the alt modes. Now, I may have got some of these steps different or wrong to what you're showing in your instructions, as this is a pre-production sample. It doesn't come with any instructions, so I'm kind of winging it and figuring it out for myself. So it may look slightly different, but this is kind of what you get with the wolf mode. You get these legs at the back here, which are on a nice ratchet joint. You get a nice tight foot. The legs can ratchet up and down, although they do tend to come unpegged from the hip. The front can ratchet forwards and backwards, and we do have this bend at the elbow to give it a kind of wolf-like appearance. but I think kind of more straight armed, I guess, or you can have these out in front and kind of like the paws outstretched. The head itself can move up and down like so, and the mouth can open quite wide. There is a tab on the inside of the head, but I don't have anything which appears to be able to peg in there, so I'm not really sure if we're going to get some sort of fire accessory with the final product. I don't know, but there is definitely a tab there for something to be mounted. Now to quickly get him transformed up into jet mode, I say quickly, it's a mission. Just pull down the nose, close this section off. You want to just pull the arm sections out, because we're going to move the wings out to an angle just so we can get this section up again. And then we want to bend the head down, tuck that under, and that's going to rock and slide nicely into that gap and close that section off. Lift these sections up. Come to the wheel bumper sections here, lift those up, lift those up. That now allows us to flip these up and rotate this waist section down. Come back around, tidy that back up, and move those tyres back. Come around to the nose cone sections. You want to bring these sections down, split them in half, and as you split them in half, there's this section here which actually unfolds out again, and then we can pull this section up along the side. That's going to come up, and that's going to tab in. Bring these down to the front, and then we can just tab those both together like so. Bring the cockpit section together. Come around to the paws. You want to bring those back and over like so. You want to rotate these arms. You're going to turn it around, and there's a groove here. This is where the tyre is going to collapse in and just sit in this groove section here. And then the forearm is going to come round, rotate, and it's just going to bend on this double joint and just tab in at the back like so. Bring these wing sections out and extend them. Come over to the top, lift this section up and lift this section up. Come to the underside, you want to lift this section up on this joint. Turn it around, bring this section up and over. Extend out the legs and rotate them around so the hinge is facing upwards, and there's a tab just here that's going to tab in on the underside of this wing. So slide this down the slider, tab these two sections together, and then bend this section in and then tab it to the underside of the wing. Now we do have the option to pin the gun sections on the front. I'm not a fan of that, but this this is the flying boat. This is for all intents and purposes the jet mode. Like I said, a little bit of imagination, and it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Like I say, it may not be completely correct. I'm going by pictures that I found online, but that's pretty much what we've got. You've got this big chunky underside section. There's no wheels or anything underneath there for landing gear, but you know, it holds together nicely, and it does resemble a flying object. So there's that. It's not the worst jet I've seen, not by a long shot. And of course we do actually have the option to put the guns on the wings, making it kind of pew pew. I mock these modes, but actually they're not far from being G1 toy accurate. You know, it was a little bit of a mess, and it got to that stage in Transformers where it didn't actually have to resemble an actual vehicle, where they just said, yeah, that's Cybertronian. So I actually kind of like this mode. It's actually one of my favourites of his alts anyway. They're all a bit iffish, but this one's kind of cool. To get him into car mode, we're going to just take off the weapons. It's probably going to be one of the easier transformations between the modes. If you want to just undo this front section here, untab these end pieces, rotate and fold this section back in, bring this section out to the side, close this section off by folding this section back and over. This is going to come down to the front like so. You want to just leave these off to the side for now, because we're going to come over to the underside, just split this front section like so, and you want to gain access to these front panels here, because they're going to flip down. So they come up, over, and down to the front, and then we can just move these sections back and back like so. Now don't tab them together yet, because we just need to move these arm sections here back as well. So what you want to do, you want to move this section, you want to untab it from the rear, then bring it up, and basically it's on this rotating hinge axis here. You want to bring this whole hinge all the way up and over, and then rotate these wheels around like so. Bring this up and lock that into place. This peg section here lifts up and has a hinge. It's a very stiff hinge, but bend that hinge down like so. That's a very stiff hinge. And then use the hole on the side of the arm section, bring this section in, and that is going to tab in to the side like so. We should now have something that looks vaguely like this at the moment. There's a tab on the inside just here. That's going to tab in to this side section here, and these purple sections are just going to drop nicely into the side. You may have to just work them in by wiggling them, but they do fit in there nicely. We can then tab this section back together. We can then tab these sections back down like they were in jet mode, tabbing each one of these into the side. Fold the wing sections back, and these tyre sections, if you rotate them down, you can then unhinge them and bring them down like so. Then come over to the paw section, lift that paw section up, and that's going to fill in this gap here. And coming around to the underside, you want to pull the wheel down, bring it around. There's a tab just on the underside here and a tab on the wheel that pushes in, and then this wheel bends up like so. I love this because it's a nice little hydraulic looking lift there. It kind of just, you just lift up these pistons, and it's a really good look to it. Pop that up, and there we have the car mode fully transformed. That's not half bad. I like the rubber wheels on him as well. These are a really nice rubber, and they all turn rather nicely. I haven't flipped these sections over. Make sure they're flipped over. That's an important part. The way they do get in the way, but yeah, that's really nice. It's passable. These sections here, you really do have to push really hard to get those to tab in, and you will hear a very audible, lovely clicking sound once they are in place. But everything's tabbed in. It's different, but again, it's not far from his G1 likeness. It's a nice car mode. It's kind of a solid lump with wheels, but hey, that's Sixshot. That's pretty much all he was. I do have problems with these side panels here. Keep unpegging from those green circular pegs. They just seem to want to pop out. But that being said, that's pretty much the only problem I'm having with this alt mode. You can, of course, mount the guns on the side of the screen like so. Or you can maybe mount some swords on here as well, kind of making it something from like Death Race or something like that. It's a good look for it, actually. Right, now let's get him changed up into arguably his weakest of the modes, which in my opinion is the tank mode. It's pretty naff. Let's just fold this wheel section here over. There's a tab here. It's very stiff, but you want to just get your nails in there and pull that out. That now allows us to bring the tank tread out. Again, this is a very stiff joint, and just close that off. Come along to the rear, and again we're going to open up this section here, and you want to bring the tank tread upwards like so. If your thumb for your fist is here, you want to just push that down just so it's out of the way of this peg here, because I notice it does tend to hit against the thumb. So just by popping this up and closing this section off here, that's the tank tread sections done, and just fold this section here over. Untab these side sections and flip this section back up and over. We're basically going to unfold these legs. Split the legs, but remember they are actually hinged by a tab at the top here and another hinge, so just up and over to separate them. Now you have to watch closely here because it's a little bit of magic. You want to just extend the leg out fully like so. Come around to this section, you want to bend this up and over like so. We're going to move it back in a moment, but this allows us to push this section all the way through, clearing the knee joint. And as that goes through, this section is going to come to the front, come back around to the back here, and this section is going to lift up like so. Straighten up the knee. You can then come round to the foot section, bring this section up, and then you want to bring it over on itself, rocking this hinge here, so it goes up, over, work it over, and then tab that in. If you look inside here, there's a hinge. Make sure the hinge is facing this way and allows us to drop the foot section back. And then you want to just keep the feet like this because we're going to use them as cannons. Now I've had to use a screwdriver to flip this section out for the cannons. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I've had to use something. There's no little tab or anything on there just to allow us to maneuver it out. See, all it would take is like a little nubbin or something on there just to push it around. I know that would affect the base of the heel. I don't really know how they would have got around that, but especially when it's chrome, you don't want to be stabbing a screwdriver in that area. Right, take a look at your knee. You want to make sure that the knee is facing backwards, and the thigh section you want to rotate so it's inwards, like so, because that allows us to grab the crotch and pull it perfectly straight. You then want to rotate the knee again so it's on the outside, and now when we bend this section up and we can then bend it over, it stays nice and close to this section here, and then we can finally bring this section all the way down, and then we can just align all of the tabs and tab this big, huge, chunky monkey section together. The wing section should be brought to the back like so, and that is pretty much our tank mode. I like to just put some guns along the top there just to add to the artillery. Now remember, this may not be completely accurate. I may be doing something wrong. I'm just going by the pictures I've seen online. I'm trying to get it as accurate as I can. I think the transformation was okay. I think I made that pretty clear. But yeah, that's the kind of heavy artillery tank mode thing. I'm not going to dwell on this because, let's face it, that looks awful. But then again, so did his G1 toy. Now last but not least, we do have his nifty little handheld gun mode. So put your tank tracks on the rear and the front, pop those back in and seal those off. And these arms are going to be moved down to the next joint. We're going to untab them from this section here. You want to straighten up that tab and bring that back down. You want to bring the arms out, and as you bring the arms out, you want to just rotate them down and around and then bring them back, rocking that joint down as we go. Bend the arms back over and around, tabbing them into the back, and grab your tires with your ninja stars and just tab those back in underneath. Bring the leg sections back down, keeping them all in one piece. Just move this section all the way down. Bring this crotch section back over like so. You can flip these tabs down to cover off this section here and open and extend the wing sections, and then rock this double hinge up and over so it meets in the middle. Same with this side, straighten this section up and over, and these two are going to peg together in the middle like so. There, that is our handle, and that is a gun. Good job he's got nice tight joints, because I mean it's pretty solid. These bits do flop around a little bit, they don't join themselves. Would have been nice to have something that just tabs these two together, but it's a fairly strong handle, nothing's moving. It kind of looks a little bit like a robot laying down with guns on his feet, but yeah, that's a really big chunky gun. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is Hanzo in all of his modes. I'm sorry the video took forever, but there was a lot to cover. Now, I have critiqued his modes, I have slated some of the choices, but that being said, he is still hands down my favourite figure that DX9 have done. There's just something about him, something fantastic, just having him in hand in his robot mode, just placing him on that shelf surrounded by the Season 3, Season 4, or the Headmaster Decepticons. It just looks incredible. He's so domineering and he's just got that really fantastic vibe about him. The sculpt is unbelievable. The plastic quality is solid and next to none. DX9 always deliver when it comes to a great quality build on a figure. There's a lot of thought gone into this figure, and I know it must be so difficult for them to make a figure work in all 6 modes and make everybody happy. The modes are close enough, in my opinion, to his G1 toy and the animation models, because let's face it, they were a bit iffish and all over the place. Once again, I would like to apologise if any of the transformation is incorrect. I have just gone from pictures online and tried to wing it, so if anything changes, I do apologise. Please just let me know in the description below. Let me know your thoughts on this figure. Is it worth the money? Have DX9 made a fantastic Sixshot, or have they flopped with those alt modes? Thanks for watching. Until next time, from myself and Hanzo, goodbye.